Welcome back to Red Gym. We come to you every weekday. Every weekday we come to you guys about your health, your exercise, your nutrition, your mindset, and your recovery. These are the 4 things of health that you absolutely must have. There is no way around it. And each one of them has to be, how do I say this, attended to. They all have to be attended to. If all you do is exercise, and you don't focus on having good recovery methods, guess what's going to happen? Something's going to fall apart. Something's going to not go so well. Someone is going to end up with an injury, right? You got to focus on that recovery. You also have to focus on how do we grow our mindset? How do we get better? How to not just necessarily positive thinking, not just necessarily not judging what you're doing, but getting a bunch of different stuff in your head to challenge your perspectives. There was recently, I think this is the 60th year that of the Ayn Rand book, Atlas Shrugged, which I think was just her absolute masterpiece. If you've read anything by Ayn Rand, she's kind of a nut. She's a little bit of an angry writer, but definitely a wealth of perspectives and very challenging to the status quo. I was so glad that I read that book, whether I agreed with everything that she said, whether you agree with everything that she says, or you disagree with everything that she says. I think that you should read that book. But anyway, that's a little bit of the mindset stuff. I think that challenging your mindset is an extremely good idea that everybody needs to do. So you got mindset, recovery. Now you got to get that exercise in. You have to get the exercise in. There's no way around exercise. Our bodies are this vessel that are taking us through life, right? We got to tend to them. We're only going to get one of these things. Exercise is a huge proponent of the health game and to the life that you get to live. That's extremely important to get your exercise in. Focus on movement patterns up front and then get really strong. Focus on movement patterns that are going to improve your posture. They're going to improve your ability to move through motions, and then you focus on getting really strong. So then you got to get your nutrition on point 2. Nutrition is a lifestyle, not a diet. If there are things and strategies that you have to have along the way to get you where you want to be, and then you got to create that. You have to discipline yourself until it becomes a lifestyle. All right, so you have to have those things. Those are all part of the health game that everybody needs to have, and that's what this show is about. It's inspiring the experience that you want to live. Everything comes down to the experience that you're having in your life at this time. So it's extremely important that if you think about it, what else are you going to get in this life? What else? What if there is an afterlife? What are you going to take with you? You're not going to take any. You're not even going to take your body with you. You're going to take the experiences that you did have right now. And if there isn't an afterlife, what are you really going to get? What are you going to get right now? Because when you die, your money's not going to matter to you if there's not an afterlife. Well, it's not going to matter to you either way. What are you going to get? You're going to get the experience that you had right here, right now. Try to make that as best as you possibly can, and health is the number one thing to having that experience, because you can't enjoy your relationships. It's pretty tough to enjoy your money, and you're definitely not going to enjoy your time while you're sick, while you're out of shape, while you're missing out on everything that your life could have been. So when it comes to experience, health is the number one resource that you can possibly have. So what are we talking about today? Today, actually, I know that yesterday was based off of a conversation that I had, but today, like the conversation that I had last night with one of the, patrons, clients at Gym, whatever, the tribe members, was based around the word commitment. And I remember I asked this kid, he was one of our high school athletes. We don't have a ton of high school athletes, but we have a few. And our programs are very well set up for baseball players because my expertise is in the shoulder. So if there was one joint that I am best at, it's definitely dealing with the shoulder. So regularly skipping workouts is something that a lot of people struggle with, not just baseball players, but people trying to lose fat, people trying to just stay in shape. It's really easy to just not show up to a workout, right? It's really easy to just say, oh, it's not that big a deal, I'm going to skip this. Oh, it's not that big a deal, I'm going to eat this pizza. Or, oh, it's not that big a deal. And sometimes it really isn't that big a deal. You have these little cheats in your nutrition so that you don't go nuts, because eating really good food is really fun, right? And that's how it should be. So how do we get clear? The conversation turned into how do we get clear on commitment? What does it mean to be committed? That's what we're going to talk about today. So the way that I work through things, I don't know about you, but I'm an extremely curious person. So I ask a lot of questions, always asking a lot of questions. So my first question is, if you think of yourself, like I was an athlete, I think that you're probably, like most of the people that are watching this were an athlete at some point. If you're an athlete, would you ever think about skipping practice? Would you ever think about skipping practice? I bet if you were an athlete, I bet you can count the number of practices that you missed. And they were probably because you were either deathly ill or you were injured. And you probably, even during that injury, you still showed up and watched the practice and got something out of it. You would never miss a practice. So why would you then miss something else that's important to you? If you'd never miss that thing. Now, you set that as a priority, right? You set that as a priority. Like, for instance, you would never think about leaving the house putting clothes on. Is that a habit? Did you create a priority? You didn't even have to think about it. It just is, right? Would you ever leave the house without brushing your teeth? I think most people, anyway, would probably, I hope so, would say, no, no matter how late I was, I would always brush my teeth real quick, and I would always throw on clothes, and then I would rush out the door, no matter how late they were. So when you attach a priority that is so heavy that no matter how late you are, you're going to do those things anyway, then you're gonna find a way to make those happen. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how powerful the priority game can become? Now, if you're gonna play the priority game, let's take it a step further. Let's go into commitment. What does it mean to you to be committed? Full on 100% commitment. What does it mean? And I know that at some point in this conversation or in this presentation that relationships are going to come up. So I'll get into that later. But practice, would you ever skip practice? Why would you skip a lift? What about work? Some people put a huge emphasis on work, that they would never skip work, no matter what, unless they were just deathly ill, they would not skip work. Well, then why would you miss something else that is important to you? What about like cooking for your kid? If you had a child, it's the most important thing in the world, and that kid is hungry and it's noon and it's time to eat, would you ever be like, oh, I want to watch this show, though, so I'm not going to go cook for the kid because I'm not hungry? Why would you skip that? If it's important to you, why would you apply that same thing to all the things that are important to you? Why wouldn't you put everything you have into everything that you have? Now, one of the things with commitment, before I get into my definition, I'm going to leave my definition of commitment all the way to the end. And in the meantime, if you guys can think of your definition of commitment and put it in the comments section, because while I was sitting there with this kid talking about, well, what's it mean to be committed to you? And he's like, oh, that's a tough one. I don't know. He came up with a bunch of like kind of bogus, very vague, ambiguous type statements. I was like, I don't know what those mean. What do they mean to you? And he just could not get clear. I was like, what about you with your girlfriend? What about you with this? And then he started asking me questions. What does it mean to you to be committed? And we talked about priorities a little bit. And not until the end I give my definition of commitment. So I'm going to keep that to the end. But it's so easy to get into the game of skipping things. Now, when younger state, when I was really into athletics, I wasn't into the lifting game yet. 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups every night. There was a time frame when I would do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups every night. And I remember one night I was like, oh, it's not that big a deal. I'll just skip it for tonight. Went to bed, and it made it so much harder to do it the next night. So I did it that next night, and then I'd miss 2 nights, and then I missed 3 nights. Pretty soon there's weeks and months going by. All of a sudden now I can't just drop down and rip off 100 push-ups or 100 sit-ups. That's a problem, right? So it's just easy. Once you get an object in motion, tends to stay in motion. So once you start losing that commitment game, it's really hard to get back onto that commitment game. So you don't leave yourself options. That's what all of this stuff is getting them back into. You leave yourself the option of making the workout. You never the everybody tomorrow is always there. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Who said that tomorrow's guaranteed? It's not guaranteed. This thing could all end tonight. This whole thing could all end in 1 minute. We could have Yellowstone could be erupting right now, sending this death march over our direction. We're in the Midwest, and consuming all of us at this moment as we speak. It'll all be over. We don't know. It's not the next second is not guaranteed. So, first challenge, first mindset challenge around the commitment thing is that or perspective is that you're always committed. No matter what, you're always committed. So if you're always committed, it doesn't make sense, right? It's like, what do you mean? I can't always be committed. I'm not always committed to working out, or I'm not always committed. Yeah. See, you're committed to where you are right now. And this is the comfortable place. You're committed to staying where you are right now, or you're committed to going towards where you want to be. One or the other. There is a commitment level that you're always committed. It's just whether it's right now or it's where you want to be. When I started doing a lot of this mindset stuff, I actually hired a coach that was, I don't know if you'd put him in like world-class category, but I talked to other world-class coaches they're highly regarded as world-class sports psych coaches. They're the go-to for professional athletes. I had lunch with Phil Jackson, sports psych coach that worked with, Michael Jordan, worked with a lot of the Bulls players, worked with high-level professional athletes, right? I had lunch with her, and I would not say that she knew any more than this guy did or any less. It was just a different, little bit of a different delivery. So I worked with this guy, and one day he said he gave me an option. I was like, nah, I don't know. I never even thought about that. I never even thought that was an option to give up on this, because I really wanted to map out my mind. I really wanted to go to and be like, okay, what am I missing? What am I missing here that is keeping me from being where I want to be? What's going on with me that I am having trouble getting to where I want to go? So I hire this guy, and we start working together. We're working together for about a year, and he goes, "You're doing a really good job, and it's good that you haven't given up on this yet," and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I never even thought of giving up. Like, I never thought of not showing up. I never thought of not doing this thing all the way through. And I don't know if there really is an all the way through. I don't know if there is a finish line to this whole thing, because I think you're always growing. But I never gave myself the option of not doing it all the way through, to map out my mind so that I could get clear on what's going on up here, so that I could get out of my own way, because most of us don't know the thing that we're actually doing that's stopping us from living the life that we want to live. And it gets exhausting because we can't see it, because you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. You're too close to the project. So don't give yourself the option. The two different perspectives are, you're either always you're always committed to where you want to go or to where you already are, or if you're not committed, it's just because you're giving yourself options. Okay, so think about it in a relationship. This is one of the areas where we think of commitment, right? So the options are over once you get into an exclusive relationship. The options are over, and if you think about it, if you were the last two people on earth, you're the last male, female, male, male, whatever. Just leave out the political male, male, female, female. What is it? Transgender, whatever they can be. So you're the last two on the face of the earth. The other person is going to look real good real quick. The other person is going to look really good really quick. So if you just, bam, options are over. There's no more options. This is what happens. And it's really easy to get into this mindset of, or not the mindset of, noticing the other lawns, right? So if you water your lawn versus you notice how green somebody else's lawn is, well, you've got to water your own lawn to make your lawn more green. So one of the things that I did that I think that I did well in a current relationship that Rach and I had, that you guys watched on Tuesday, which I think was the best show that her and I have done yet. But when we first started, we didn't wait to go and get help with our relationship. We hired a relationship coach right away. And the point, the thing I'm trying to say is that so think about, you just buy a house and they haven't laid down the sod yet, then they go ahead and lay down the sod, then they water the crap out of it, right? They water it, and then eventually they let the rain deal with watering their lawn. You have to have the grass take its roots and do all of that stuff. So water it up front. Water it as soon as you possibly can. Take strategy upon that to do what you're trying to do with it, to make your lawn as green as it possibly can, and not even noticing anybody else's lawn, because you're putting so much time and effort, because you are 100% committed to your relationship. There are no other options. She or he is the only one that you get to do this with. You're completely and 100% committed to that one thing, just like exercise, just like nutrition, just like recovery, just like mindset, just like your relationship. everything goes into that one thing because there are no other options. It's the only one out there. Just like if you were the last two people on earth, you two are going to start looking really good to each other really quick. But the interesting thing about all of this stuff, mindset, nutrition, exercise, recovery, relationships, people will put more money, more time, more effort into this year, even in the Midwest where we don't need to tend to our lawns, our actual lawns, not our metaphorical lawns. Even in the Midwest, we only have to tend to our lawns for about maybe 3 to 6 months out of the year. People will put more money, more time, and more effort into their actual lawn than they will into their relationship, into their minds, into their exercise, into their nutrition, into their recovery. They will put more money, more time into that lawn than they will into their lives, into the things that are and so that gets back to what is actually important to you. What are you actually committed to? And this year, people will spend more money putting gas in their car than they will spend on books, than they'll spend on relationship coaches, than they'll spend on their minds, their health of their body, their education, their I think it just said coaching again. But they'll put more money into their car than they will into their brain. This is one of those things that just super baffles me. Hopefully I'm putting 10 times. I haven't ever actually sat down and calculated out how much money I spend on gas in a year versus how much continuing education I do, but I do tons of continuing education. You'd be amazed at what 1 hour a day accumulates out to, and I do at least that. So the questions are like 3 big questions that I use on me and that you can use on you too. It's, what are you committed to? Are you more committed to where you are now, or are you more committed to where you want to go? So where do you want to go in your relationship? Where do you want to go with your health? Where do you want to go with your body, your nutrition, it could be money, it could be anything. Where do you want to go? And are you more committed to the comfort zone that you are in now, or are you more committed to where you want to go? And then and that's a big, hard question to do, right? Because it's like, am I really just committed to just living life how I am right now? And it's a scary thing, because it's like, what if I did change everything? Is that really the life that I would want to live? And I don't know. I think that's up to you. I try not to make these shows where I'm giving you like an ultimatum, but giving you questions that you can mull over in your head to challenge, so that you can challenge your own perspective. Because I can't do it. I can't get inside your head. I can just throw things out there, and you're going to do what you want with them. So question number 2, what is your pasture looking like? What is your pasture? What is your lawn looking like? Is it brown or is it green? Have you tended to the thing that you're talking about? Is it where you want it to be? Have you watered it? Have you fed it? Have you exercised it? Have you groomed it? Have you taken care of it? So that's going to give you an idea of what you are committed to. The things that are in place just the way that you want them, those are the things that you were committed to doing. If your house is clean, you were committed to having a clean house. If your car is clean, you're committed to having a clean house. If you're exercising 1 hour every day, your exercise is probably pretty close to on point. If your nutrition is right where you want it to be, then you are committed to that thing. And yet it's not quite where I want it to be. You're not committed 100%, or I shouldn't say that, because you could be working towards that, but working towards finishing and working towards having it all done. But if it's not how you want it, you've got to commit 100% to that thing and tend to that thing, and not leave yourself any options on not making that accurate the way that you want it to. And then number 3, this kind of transitioned into that. Are you giving yourself options? That's what I meant to say. Are you giving yourself options? This is the big one. Are you giving yourself the option of going to work out or not going to work out? Those are 2 options. Don't give yourself that option. Like, in reality, that option's always there. But if you can change your head around that, you don't give yourself the other option. This is what you're going to do. Your kid says, "Mommy, don't go," you go. "Daddy, don't go," you go. It's what you have to do, and that might be tough, but think of the lesson that you're teaching that kid. You set a commitment, and you went through with it. Workouts, or even are you giving yourself options? If you're noticing your neighbor's lawn, if you're noticing other things, if your eyes are wandering, I don't know. If you're noticing that somebody else has it better than you, is what I was trying to say, then you're giving yourself the option
because you're not focused on the thing that you are committed to. If you're 100% committed to this thing, you don't even have on your radar that they are even there, because you're making it a competitive thing. This should really be a cooperative thing. Commitment should be, to me anyway, commitment is a cooperative thing. Like when someone comes into Grit Gym and we sit down, we go through the whole thing, and then they sign up for their package, I am in this committed to their goal just as much as they need to match my commitment. I'm all in on their goal. I'm 100% in on their goal, getting them to where they want to be, but they better be there too. Now, this doesn't always happen because everybody's got a little different mindset, but one of the things is I have to be committed to changing their mindset, to raising their level of expectation so that they can actually get to their goal, because a lot of people don't realize the work involved in getting to it. And I think it's staggering for people a lot of the time to figure out just how much work it's going to take to be a fitness competitor. It would take years of just continuous, just massive patience and working your ass off and being super in tune with your nutrition. If you want to lose 30 pounds, that doesn't sound like much, because the fitness industry has promised 30 pounds in 30 days and all this crap with effortlessly. And it's ridiculous. 30 pounds takes a shitload of effort, and you've got to put everything you possibly can into it. And it takes a ton of commitment, and you don't get the option of having the pizza, of having the pancake, and you also don't get the option of not being hungry. You want to lose weight, you're just going to have to get over it. You're going to feel hungry. But if you're noticing your neighbor's lawn, then are you 100% focused on what you're committed to? No, then your commitment's in question. You're giving yourself options. You got to get back to that. If you're noticing, if your eyes are wandering to other girls and guys, this is one I think we would probably all struggle with on some level. You got to put your eyes back to where they belong. Are you 100% committed to making your relationship the absolute greatest relationship that it could possibly be? That's why I hire a relationship coach, because I'm not totally great at these things, and I want an incredible relationship. I want an incredible mind. I want an incredible life, and I want you to have that too. So those are the three things. What are you committed to? Are you more committed to now, or where you are now, or are you more committed to where you want to be? And then what does your lawn look like? Where are you really on point with your life, where you want to be, and where is it kind of not? Because that'll give you an idea of where you're committed. If your house is really clean, you're committed to keeping a clean house. If you're not getting to your exercises, you are not committed to exercising. And then you got to ask yourself, what options are you giving? Are you giving yourself options? And is it an option to not go to your workout? Well, then you're not committed to your workouts because you made them optional. My definition of commitment is that there are no other options. And I know, like, after that whole thing, that's probably a little bit of a letdown, because I'm like, what's my definition? But my definition of commitment is that there are no other options anymore. The only girl that exists in the world is that for me to be in a relationship with is Rachel. The only other option to do at 8:30 in the morning for me is to go work out. That's the only option. There's only so many options for nutrition. There's only I don't give myself the other option. That's it. That's the end. That's the whole deal. That's it. That one thing. And then I put every amount of effort, every amount of money, every amount of attention, time, energy into that one thing, and do my absolute best in that moment with that person, with that workout, with that nutrition, whatever it happens to be. But that's my definition of commitment. It's that there's no other options. Joanne says, it's exciting to plan for your future, set goals, but it can be a little unsettling to think about how things could actually change in unexpected ways. It's nice to think about change, but hard to leave the comfort of the known. Good point. Have to do it anyway, though? Question mark. I read that wrong. So you have to do it anyway, huh? Yes, I think you have to do it anyway. I like that definition. No bull. Thank you, Caitlin. The thing is, like, all of this stuff with people fighting change just in general is kind of an interesting idea. And I understand it because
I think some of it's that we have this belief that no matter what, change is difficult. Well, change is constant. We never get away from change. Change is always going to happen. The wind is always blowing a little bit. Like if you think of the rock in the middle of the stream, and you're like, man, that rock has sat there for millions and maybe billions of years, and it's never moved. That rock is so strong. That rock is going to lose because the water, it just keeps pounding. The water is always rolling around that rock, always eroding it a little bit, always pushing it a little bit further. And it's going to roll. It's going to change. At some point, the water is going to win because of the persistence that it keeps hitting the rock. We're all changing a little bit. Half hour, about 26 minutes ago, we started this show. 22 minutes ago. Sorry, I read well, not sorry. What about that forgiveness thing? Do I really need to ask you guys for forgiveness for an error that I made? No, 22 minutes ago. Now we're all 22 minutes older. Our faces have changed. Our biochemistry's changed a little bit. It's this accumulation of time. Like everything is always going to change. So why do we fight it so hard? I don't know. But I like the idea of being the driver, not just letting time kind of take me wherever it's going to go. I want to decide my fate. I want to be committed to the thing that is going to get me where I want to go. Joanne says, C, I would say commitment is dedication to a priority. It's easy to be committed to something if that is your only option. I think there has to be an element of choice that you have to overcome, dedicate yourself to. Yeah, that's obviously always, I shouldn't say obviously, but that's always there, right? The ever ready tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I don't have to go work out. Like, you don't have to go work out. You can eat this one piece of pizza. Yeah, I like in reality, that is obviously the case. Like, obviously that is the case. You always actually do have an option. But why give? So for me, it's why give yourself the option? Why not just no? That is eliminated from my mind. It's not an option. I'm going to go because I dedicated myself to this as a priority. Because I really like your definition there, dedication to a priority. Does anybody actually know, if you guys want to Google up the definition of the commitment according to Google, Webster, whatever, that'd be cool, and throw that up there. Can you guys help me out with that? But either way, I still think no matter what, you always got to ask yourself, are you going to be all in today? Or are you going to be afraid that you're not enough today? So which one of those are you going to be more committed to? The default is that you're not going to be enough today, that you're going to be afraid that you're not enough today, but that's not a reasonable fear. It is an understandable fear. It is not a reasonable fear because you know that you are enough to do your absolute gut-wrenching best. So you gotta push yourself into that. I'm going to do my absolute gut-wrenching best today. No matter what, I'm committed to that because I deserve that. The people that I care about deserve that. And if I do that, I'm going to be better at serving them. And I'm going to be better at all the things that make me great. And that's also why the work hard to improve today, focus on the present priority, and be a positive influence, being committed to those things. But the mindset around not giving yourself options, it's a strategy, right? And it helps a ton. Anyway, we're right at 1 o'clock. If you guys have any other questions or you want to discuss this more, more and more people are writing me in the DM section. I think that's a little bit more of a safe place to express some of the perspectives around some of this stuff. And I like, if your perspective challenges mine, I want to hear it, because the more perspectives that I get, the more that I can expand, the more that you can expand, and the more our intelligence grows, the more we push ourselves up to a level that we weren't before. But anyway, 1 o'clock, I said I'd be done with these things, so now I'm committing to the 1 o'clock time, right? All right, guys, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. This was a very attended show, so that's very fun. All right, I'm going to sign off, but I hope to see you soon, and stay committed.